In the last video we installed this AutoEXE intake on the RX7. This video I want to show you the other options available for RX7s. Some which are still available to buy brand new, others you may have to get second hand. Some are considered cold air intakes such as this one, some are what I would consider the hot air intake, just cone filters. And I'm going to go over some of the common mistakes people make when modifying these with the basic intake systems or intercooler upgrades, and how the intake system works on these cars in the sense of the intercooler duct and feeding the intake box or lack thereof, and some of the other options available. If you're liking these videos, please spread the word, like, share, and subscribe. If you missed my last video, this is what a factory FD RX7 intake looks like. Like most factory cars, it really is a true cold air intake. This plastic cover in the front isn't just a cover. It actually feeds fresh cold air from the intercooler duct into the intake box, so that's what makes it a true cold air intake. Most manufacturers have cars designed like this. They tend to pull from the fender well rather than in front of the car though. The biggest downside of the factory intake is this small triangle restriction right here. What some people used to do to mitigate the small triangular opening would be to actually cut out the bottom of the box here to increase the overall flow. I wouldn't recommend it just because then you're exposing this whole bottom part to the hot radiator heat and you're sucking in hot air instead of cool air from the front. People took it a step further and started making some shielding to shield the direct heat from the radiator and trying to make a little bit of ducting to feed fresh air there. I believe it was called the Atom box mod or something. I don't know. The thread's like 20 years old. I remember the guy that did it. His name was Adam on the board. He actually had some trap speeds and the quarter mile to show, you know, the improvement and whatnot, and which I don't doubt it if you're increasing the overall airflow of the turbos, but this day and age with the quality intakes we have, I don't see any reason to hack up your rare factory intake box and feed it some hot air. I'd rather just buy a quality intake and be done with it. I would say the most common intake found on RX7s are these cone filter types. Many manufacturers make these types of intakes for the RX7s, such as HKS, Apexi, Blitz, Greddy, and so on. Some manufacturers even make variations of this intake, as you can see here from HKS. Some kits include pipes that go all the way back to the turbo hard pipes and position the mushroom filters in a different location, allowing for a larger stock mount intercooler to be installed, or possibly some front mount piping. If you're going to run this type of intake, I always recommend to build some kind of heat barrier like you see here. It's better than nothing, and it keeps the hot radiator air from blowing right into the filters, but you're still not really keeping out the hot air that are generated by the turbo. You really need to fully enclose the filters to isolate them from the engine bay heat. Fully enclosed intake boxes, such as this one from M2, is your best bet to isolate your filters from the extreme engine bay heat. M2 is no longer in business, but it looks like CX Racing has made a knockoff which looks very similar. These type of boxes try to draw in air from right behind the headlight, as you can see from the corner of the box. This next style is what I would consider to be the most efficient, as they tend to draw air in from more the nose of the car instead of next to the headlight, which you can still leak some engine bay heat, and you don't get that much flow next to the headlight. As far as I know, the AutoEXE is the only one still in production. The Mazdaspeed is super rare, as is the Knightsports, but these three all have the same essential style. From 92 to 98, RX7s had a single large opening in the front bumper, which fed everything from the radiator to the intercooler, AC condenser, and the airbox. In 99, they released this fresh air duct, which fed fresh air to the airbox. These types of intakes utilize this fresh air duct, and technically 99 and up owners can claim they have a ram air intake as long as they don't run a front license plate. Probably the biggest mistake I've seen people make when installing these intakes, and I've unfortunately seen it all too frequently, is people get a bit grab happy pulling out all the plastic parts without a full understanding of what everything does under the hood. You can see, like in this photo, many people will actually remove the intercooler ducting without understanding that that intercooler needs fresh air directly from the front of the car. You can see the problem with this here. Now you can see the full radiator fan setup, and now the intercooler is just exposed to all the radiant heat from the radiator. Yes, you will still get some cool air flowing in the entire engine bay from the spot the intercooler duct used to draw air from, but now you don't have the isolated direct feed of cool air to the intercooler like you do with the ducting.